Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well this Tuesday, the February 11th. It's hard to believe we're already in February. Hey, don't forget, before we get to talking with Dave here in just a few seconds, that, there are so many things in this world that we have no control over. But you can take control of your investment portfolio by knowing the amount of risk you have in that portfolio and making sure that it lines up with where it should be based on your current circumstances and how close you are to retirement. If you're not sure, give me a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. And that, we got Dave coming up next.
5.7 Light FM, Hall and Oates are there. Good morning. Appreciate you being here. I'm Morning Dave. We're at 8:42 now, 18 before 9. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. Hey, when you hear that legal stuff, that means we got Phillip Statler on the line to help look at money today. Phillip, good morning. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Dave. I am doing well, getting a little bit more energy back every day. Still, try to get the office about a half a day, and then I kind of trail off in the afternoon with still trying to build my stamina back up.
Happens to me too, but that's just because I'm old. Like I said, I appreciate the update. You've been in our prayers, and it's so good to hear you on the air again with us. Setting up the morning on the stock market, I was all green yesterday. Everything looked pretty good. The Dow was up 167. S&P was up by 40.5. NASDAQ was up by 191. Everything came up roses after we pulled a lot. I kind of figured that during the Trump administration, as fast as things can move, a lot of investors are pulling money off the table over the weekend because the way the Trump administration works and the way the news cycle runs, heck, we can go through 3 news cycles before guys have a chance to change their allocations. So we're taking money off the table on Friday and putting it back on Monday, and it kind of looks like that was the pattern yesterday.
Well, it did. I mean, yesterday we definitely saw a little bump on most everything as we look at it, which was good. I was looking at the not the VIX, but the cryptocurrency stuff, Bitcoin, and some of those other ones, because I saw a headline, didn't get a chance to read the article, but basically some firm that has been following crypto and been really gung-ho said that they think they've reached the top for a while. So interesting to see. They're trading down insignificant today, but at least right now heading into the red anyway. So thought that was kind of interesting.
It was kind of interesting. It kind of looks like Bitcoin hits a psychological barrier a little bit above 100, because every time it's bumped up above 100, as soon as something big happens on the news, a bunch of people run over to crypto, and as soon as Bitcoin gets up to 104, 105 intraday high, it just ricochets back down again. Your analyst might be right. We've got some sort of a psychological barrier there that even the adventurous crypto traders aren't very happy to see it hit, do we?
No, definitely not. And so they continue to cycle that through, and we'll see. How does it? And we've kind of been in this trading range now for a while. The question is, do we break out of it? Which way do we break? Right? We could break up, we could break down, and that's kind of the unknown right now.
Absolutely. Just to give an idea of how unstable Bitcoin can be in the process, just because you and I almost poked fun at it for a long time, when I flipped over on my charts to the crypto numbers, Bitcoin was trading up by about $50 per coin. It just updated. Now it's trading down by $49. Granted, in the context of a $97,000 number, it's really not all that big, but things can change very rapidly on it in terms of being a hedge against inflation and replacing gold, like you and I have heard a couple of analysts say. It's going to be a little while before you can count on crypto to be able to replace the rock-stable stuff like gold and silver, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. It's definitely going to take some time.
Yeah, when you can swing 0.5% inside of about 30 seconds, that's not exactly something you do to hedge your bets. Speaking of hedging bets, Yeah, Jerome Powell always has the ability when he does his press conference after a Fed meeting to be able to control the questions, just say, I'm not going to answer that. He doesn't have that choice today because he's having his semi-annual trip up the hill, and he's going to talk to the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs this morning starting at 10 o'clock. I don't have it, but I'm going to assume he's going to be having to hit the House tomorrow because he tends to do the 2 days back-to-back with the two houses in Congress. This one might be interesting because there's an undercurrent on the in the House and the Senate trying to pressure him to reduce interest rates, and he's kind of got his feet dug in a little bit, doesn't he?
He does at this point, and rightly so, right? Because we've not seen inflation really get to the number that they've told us they want to see, and so until we get there, he needs to kind of hold the line. The question is, how long can he hold the line? Given Trump's kind of insistence of wanting interest rates lower, and I get why, right? Because the United States debt is based on those interest rates to a certain degree, and so we would like to pay a lower interest rate just like everybody out there that has a loan. So he wants those rates to come down as we start refinancing debt.
And it's been interesting, he's almost kind of trying to back off on the dance with Powell in the process. Last week, the clarification came out from Trump's financial people, from the Secretary of the Budget and all of the rest of the financial department heads. No, he's not talking about the Fed. He's talking about he wants to jawbone down the federal yields, which you and I have both kind of looked at and crossed our eyes over because the Fed drops an interest rate point on the open market committee, and for some reason the bond yields go up. I mean, they're starting to almost divorce themselves from tracking like you'd expect them to.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I pulled those up. I hadn't really paid much attention to them lately, but I know back before I had surgery that the interest rate had trickled back down to about 4.6% on the 30-year Treasury. Well, we're back up to 4 3/4 this morning.
Absolutely, and I tend to track the 10-year ones because they're the ones that come up on my tip sheet first. We're still trading above. Well, we were in second place in the industrialized world in the yield in our 10-year. We're now in first place ahead of the UK in terms of the yield in our 10-year bonds at 4.5%. When you start looking at the Federal Reserve's reference interest rate being trending downward, even though it's on a pause for the moment, you start wondering, wait a minute, the yields keep going up on our Treasury bonds, but they're going down on the Fed. Well, maybe we can just start ignoring the open market committee for a while.
Yeah. You think that'll work?
No, they don't change the economy very much. I mean, what the heck? Let's shrug our shoulders and go forward. It would be a nice thought, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. The other thing that at least my tip sheets are talking about is waiting to see whether or not the senators can goad Paulson into saying anything about Elon Musk, because one thing Musk and his government efficiency committee is doing is they're going into the quote-unquote autonomous and independent agencies and starting to mess with their allocations as well, which comes under the heading of needing to take it, well, I hate to say it, but a meat cleaver to federal spending if you want to do it. But now they're starting to go into areas that traditionally everybody's assumed is almost hands-off. So when does Musk start messing around with the Federal Reserve? That's going to be a question that I got to believe one of the senators is going to ask.
Yeah, they're gonna, he's gonna be on a hot seat for sure today, especially with all the things that are happening in Washington D.C. Not just Trump and not just Musk, but all the other things happening. So we're gonna see him on the hot seat today and tomorrow, and it will be newsworthy, I'm sure, whatever comes out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah, that's one of those hearings in which I suspect a lot of the traders are going to have one ear on the Senate hearing and the other hearing on their buy and their sell buttons as they go. We're continuing earnings season, and it's kind of interesting. One of my stats that I had the other day was that the average Standard & Poor's 500 gain on earnings was among the highest we've ever had, like 16% this quarter over prior year figures. We're finally growing on earnings again. We're going to continue that going today. I know we have a few household names out there like, Coca-Cola.
Hey, Coca-Cola did. They really had a good quarter. The earnings and revenue. Earnings were 55 cents a share. That was 3 cents better than expected. I got to say, revenue is probably the biggest surprise when you look at it. It was up Almost, not quite, but getting close to up $1 billion more than expected. Came in at a little over 11.5 billion. So that was good news for Coke, and it's got them trading up this morning about a little over 4.5% right now. So good news for Coke.
That kind of a percentage rise on a big company like Coca-Cola, that's earth-shaking.
It is. It is. Let's look at the automotive a little bit, Dave. Not manufacturing, but sales. AutoNation also reported, and they beat pretty substantially on earnings. Came in at almost $5, $4.97 a share versus $4.26 that was expected. And revenue was pretty well ahead of expectations as well. So they are trading, well, they were trading up earlier, Dave, but it's one of those cases where, hey, we can be red, we can be green, and we can go back. So right now we're down about 0.1% right now with AutoNation.
Did they happen to include in the top line of the release, are they selling more used cars or new cars at the moment? They're a full-line chain of dealerships.
They are, and a pretty big chain. It did not, didn't give any details as to that right now.
I was kind of curious because every time we get the auto manufacturers, we get the, oh, my God, we can't unload these electric cars to save our butts. And then they end up putting the other mainline ones on sale in order to get their volume back up. I was curious what the retail side of the fence was doing.
Yeah, not laid out yet anyway. DuPont, the big chemical company, they also reported they had kind of it looks like maybe mixed results. It came in at $1.13 a share on revenue. That was above the 98 cents expected. Revenue was basically in line with what everybody thought it was going to be, and they get a nice bump today, Dave. They're up a little over 6%.
Wowzers! We got good news again for the most part today, don't we?
Well, we do. Let's look at maybe the beauty sector a little bit.
Oh, Lord. Can we sell makeup these days?
So Cody reported, however you pronounce that word. They reported, they're manufacturer of beauty supplies, and they kind of had a decent quarter as far as earnings, but they missed on revenue. They're trading down today. They've improved some. They were down 2.5. They're only down about 0.5% right now.
I'm not sure, but I've always stereotyped Cody as being midline on the beauty and health counter. I don't know where that fits in terms of the overall marketing. Are we talking about premium price or otherwise? I think they're kind of in the middle of the line.
Middle line. I haven't shopped there lately, so yeah.
Yeah, they don't have my shade of eyeshadow, so it's just one more before we summarize the whole mess today.
So we have let's look here. What this is not a known company, but they play in the chip space. It's called Lattice Semiconductor. They're a chip maker, and they had a decent quarter. Their revenue came in just a tad better than expected, and that really sent them skyrocketing earlier this morning. They're up a little over 15.5%.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's kind of the picture of a better mousetrap, whatever it was that got them going. Resetting the table for the morning, pretty much everything was green yesterday, even in a couple of places we didn't want it to be. 45 minutes before the markets open this morning, what are we looking at?
So right now we're still looking at green ink, Dave. Red ink. The Dow is down a little over 0.25%. S&P 500 is down about 0.4, and the NASDAQ 100 is getting close to 0.7 down. Russell 2000 is down 0.75%. So definitely in the red to start off the day. On the other side of the coin, we've got silver trading down almost 1.9% to $31.89 an ounce. Gold's down about 0.5% to $29.20 an ounce. Crude oil is the only thing really heading up, Dave, the wrong direction, up almost 1.7% this morning to $73.53 a barrel right now.
Seems to me it was 2-3 days ago the Saudis announced a price increase, and when we didn't respond with our oil prices accordingly, I figured we might have dodged that bullet. Evidently, it's now in the pipeline. Looking at the overseas markets, you can pretty much tell that the market over in the Asian Rim was not too happy with the new tariffs on metal goods that the president announced yesterday. The mainland Chinese markets were both pretty well off. One of them was down 0.75% at the close. Hong Kong market down by over 1% on the Asian Rim. Over in Europe, they're kind of looking askance and saying, well, he hasn't mentioned us much lately, so the average European halfway through its trading day up by about 0.2% on the European side of the fence. Getting a beat on my retirement is a moving target if you're following the economic news day by day. I need a plan. How do I find you to get that plan to retire on time, Phillip?
That's why I developed the core retirement design to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of. They can give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule their core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And back here tomorrow morning about the same time with a look at what happened today and look ahead to tomorrow. I appreciate it, sir. I'll see you shortly.
All right, buddy. Have a great day.
Be well. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope your week's going well. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.